Whoops. LinkedIn said you're not approved. Okay. All right. Go live.
It says we're live right now.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to wait a couple minutes to see if folks jump on. Just going to give a couple quick seconds here. All right. So greetings, everyone. My name is Brian Trendler, and I'm the founder of LaughTech, and I am very, very lucky to be asked to be the MC for today's charity drive. My company is not important. We are here to talk about an amazing organization, Blankets for Cancer. Blankets for Cancer was started in 2016 by Adam Rindy after his family lost their son after a diagnosis of stage 4 neuroblastoma. Since then, Blankets for Cancer has evolved into an incredible nonprofit organization dedicated to helping families, with their vision being to blanket out pediatric cancer. A very bold and honorable mission, I would have to say. Their actual mission is described by them is to reduce the suffering of children and their families who are dealing with pediatric cancer. Blankets for Cancer provides socioeconomic support for families to help cover those uncompensated expenses involved and associated with pediatric cancer treatment, such as rent, car repairs, groceries, utilities, and travel costs. These are the things that people forget are happening behind the scenes when a family is getting together and rallying for a sick family member. So our hope today during this special online live gala, the first of its kind from Blankets for Cancer, is that those of you who are listening and watching right now, you'll consider a donation in order to help Blankets for Cancer continue their incredible efforts to support those family in need. So how you can do that is you can go directly to their website at blanketsforcancer.org. We're going to put that repeatedly throughout this event in the chat window. You can click directly through there and just click the donation button, and at any time, give a donation to help support this cause. This charge, it's being led by Adam, his team, and all of you now that choose to be involved in this event today. First, I want to introduce you all the founder of Blankets for Cancer, Adam Rindy. Adam, thank you so much for doing what you do, putting this gala on today. And I'd love if you could take a couple minutes and explain your family's story, how this happened, and of course, the inception of Blankets for Cancer.
Sure. Thank you, Brian, for hosting this event. And it's been wonderful working with you and helping us put this together. So Blankets for Cancer was a effort of our family, immediate family, extended family, and community members to take a very unfortunate situation that happened to us and to our son and turn it into something that could benefit others. Mm-hmm. So we lost our son Jordan to neuroblastoma in 2014, and during his journey of neuroblastoma, he did reach no evidence of disease at one point of the journey, and then relapsed later. It was a very important time for us to be with Jordan and be by his side through all these trials and tribulations, all the chemotherapy, radiation, hospital stays, and we didn't realize how much we needed to rely on other people to make that happen.
Yeah.
You know, our jobs were affected as far as our ability to work. He needed us emotionally and physically. And so with the help of community members, family members, we were able to be by his side, and we developed a very deep relationship with him, and we were able to advocate for him on every step of the way. So that's what we're trying to do as Blankets for Cancer, is help other families be able to approach this horrific challenge with the same resources and with the same level of comfort that allows them to be able to focus on what really matters, which is trying to save and preserve or make better the life of that of the child that's dealing with this, and also to reduce personal stress.
Of course, of course. Thank you for sharing that. We're already getting comments in the chat window. Casey mentions that his son has the diagnosis as well. Is there anything that you'd like to tell Casey that he can, of course, share with his family during his particular time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's every person with pediatric cancer or neuroblastoma's journey is unique, and I would say to focus on your own process, because the outcome of each individual case is highly independent, and the twists and turns and the severity of the cancer and all the things that make things turn out the way you want it to is very unique. So most importantly, to find a way to really deeply cherish each day and each moment with your child, regardless of how long they're going to be on this planet.
Sure.
I think pediatric cancer outcomes are really improving, much better than when we were going through treatment,
which is only a short time ago as well.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 5 years, we've seen improvement, and so I think it's really important to really focus on one thing that I was told is what would you miss the most about losing a loved one, and live that out every single day. So for me, it was the moments of laughter, the moments of hugging and holding hands and joking around and listening to him explain his view of the world. So playing as much as possible on the good days. That's what I was going to miss the most, and that is what I miss the most of that relationship with Jordan. So I would encourage most parents to focus on that.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for imparting that knowledge from the heart and from your family's experience during Jordan's illness. Now, I want to key in on something as we're waiting for our guest speaker to come on in just a few minutes. And by all means, everybody really quickly in the chat window, I love the fact that you're engaging. Thank you so much for dialing in and leaving a comment, a supportive suggestion. The fact that you're sharing in the pain possibly of a diagnosis as well. I don't love that, but I appreciate you sharing this information. And once again, if anyone has any inkling to go to blanketsforcancer.org, click that donation button. Every penny does count. You're joining us live today, and thank you so much for doing so. But again, every donation that you feel that you can separate with, it goes toward making a difference. Every penny truly does count. Jeremy Abramson, I want to point him out really quickly. He says that he's part of this organization. Do you want to have a little fun here? Because, I mean, with my organization, Laugh Tag, Humor Heals, we've kind of coined that hashtag Humor Heals. And I would love it if anyone wants to go ahead and utilize that, tie it into Blankets for Cancer, because the power of laughter is an amazing thing, and it can't change a diagnosis, right? But it can help. It can help everybody deal with something through laughter, through playing, through games like you mentioned. I absolutely adore that. So do you want to give any shout outs right now to folks that are starting to leave comments?
Well, my wonderful family is showing up in the chat room and on the stream. Like it's kind of like at a recital, your family sits in the front row.
That's
so
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, first, my mother Marcia is here, and is grandma, and she was by Jordan's side through everything, holding his hand, being a grandma, but also being a friend to all of us. My sister's here, who was very supportive. I do want to talk also about Jeremy, who's one of our board members. He's our vice president. He's Jordan's uncle, and he went to the extra mile for Jordan. He would fly out on a moment's notice to be there during very tough times. joke around with Jordan, give him a gift, a present, cheer him up, hold his hand, be a cool uncle. And Jeremy's pouring his energy into helping us with this cause. They have a very deep relationship, and we're really grateful that on all our board members, the dedication to make this happen.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. And Casey left a note regarding thank you for the helpful advice. Casey, we're with you throughout all of this, not just when this event ends. I would definitely encourage anybody who's sharing a diagnosis in their family to keep in touch with the Blankets for Cancer organization. I'm sure Adam and his team would be more than happy to have conversations and dialogue, right?
Yeah. So let me just share, how the process works is on our website, blanketsforcancer.org. There's applications for funding for the resources that we support. You can just go to the website, fill an application. We do ask to connect with your social worker as well, just to kind of understand the situation a little deeper before we process and vote on and distribute gifts. And so we engage with the families. We're there for the long run. You are the mission of our organization, is to support you and your process. And like I said, to make this process as less stressful as possible.
Incredible. Adam, once again, thank you very much for sharing the inspiration behind your organization. Unfortunately, all these stories come from pain, and they come from heartache, and they come from a journey that doesn't always have the ideal end. But because there's no greater pain I can imagine than losing a child. I have 2 children of my own, and I just can't even imagine that. But your family strength comes through so powerfully in what you've now done with that pain and with that frustration and with that agony. And what Blankets for Cancer now does for so many is an incredible thing. So I would just want to thank you again so much for doing so good for so many. Do you happen to know if our guest speaker is waiting in the wings?
Yeah, so Lisa is, and I'll bring her on here in just a moment. So I just want to say something special about Lisa. She's going to share her family's journey with pediatric cancer. Mm-hmm. And also Lisa is a colleague of mine as well. It's something that we share a lot in common. Also, that we're both in the same profession, but also that, we had children going through pediatric cancer, and she'll share her journey with us. And I'm going to welcome her on in just a moment here.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi there. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate you taking the time.
So I'm going to jump out of the stream for you and Brian to chat for a second. And so,
as long as we can get you back. Outstanding. Lisa, again, thank you. Good afternoon. Appreciate you coming today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. Would you be willing to share a little bit about, of course, what your story is here, but what your connections are with Adam? Any dirty little sordid background stories we can use against him at a later date, to get him to smile along with all of this. But at the same time, tell us what your connection is to the organization. And with that, I will give you the floor.
Sure. So my name is Lisa Drost. I have a daughter named Kate, who is currently 14. Was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, the same cancer that Brian's son Jordan was diagnosed with, at age 9.5. So 2015, we're coming up on our 5-year diagnosis anniversary, which is not a real special date that we want to remember. Adam reached out to us fairly early on, and I honestly can't remember how he found out that our daughter had been diagnosed, but he did, and he reached out immediately. This had before we knew about Blankets for Cancer, just to say, hey, I'm here. I've walked in your steps, and I want to help you. Let me know what I can do, how I can do. I'm here. So it was really nice to have somebody who could understand from the perspective of standing in my shoes. Because in the beginning, it's overwhelming and it's terrifying. And, even though I have a background as a holistic practitioner, it's still something you don't expect. It's something you think is never going to ever happen to you. And when it happens, it rocks your world. It turns everything upside down. So my daughter woke up one morning and couldn't walk. She was stumbling around the house. for no obvious reason, nothing that we could think of. And of course, we took her to the emergency room, and after about a day of testing, they came back and they said, we don't know what's wrong, but she has tumors all the way down her back,
Oh.
and they look oncologic in nature. So immediately we were shuttled off to the children's hospital in an ambulance, and that's where the journey started. So, as I said, we're almost 5 years into this. At time of diagnosis, not only did she have the tumors down her back, 90% of her bone marrow was filled with cancer cells. They didn't know right away what kind of cancer it was, and so they didn't know how to treat it.
Mm-hmm.
It took several days to figure that out, and each day that we waited for that diagnosis to come, Kate was losing further function. The tumors were growing and pressing on her spinal cord. She was losing the ability to move her legs. It was moving slowly upward. She lost bowel and bladder function, and we had all kinds of different teams coming in saying, we need to get in the OR. If we don't, she could be paralyzed for life. And then I had other teams saying, but if they do the surgery, because she could still be paralyzed for life, and what do we do? The oncology team was involved, the neurosurgery team was involved. And anyway, eventually they did a biopsy. They figured out what it was. They did emergency chemotherapy, and 2 days later she moved her leg. Yeah, exactly. It was
I don't have
it
tissue.
was an intense time. Yeah, well, I have video of it actually, and I remember, crying for joy that my daughter moved her leg.
Absolutely.
And from there, she progressively, the tumor started to shrink, and she started to move her leg, and we actually had to teach her to walk again. She was afraid to stand up. She was afraid to move. She had to relearn how to walk upstairs. All of that had to happen. Either way, we spent the next year going through. She had 13 different types of chemotherapy during that year, radiation, immunotherapy, and after a year, she was able to get clear. We started going to New York, which I know is part of who treated Jordan. And they started a trial to help prevent relapse. So we went through a year of traveling to New York 7 times. And she completed that trial, and she was doing great. And we started another trial in another part of the country to prevent relapse. And a few months into that, she relapsed. So her odds for survival dramatically dropped. And we spent the next year getting clear, and we decided we were going to get treated in New York. So for pretty much most of 2019, we traveled to New York, and often it was 8 days a month in New York. So as you might imagine, that's taxing physically, emotionally, financially. Each trip was flights and taxis and paying for the Ronald McDonald House, which seems like it should be free, but it's not. Food, groceries, all of that kind of stuff. So it was an expensive experience, and that's when we reached out to Adam's charity, Blankets for Cancer, and said, hey, is there anything you can do to help us out? And they were awesome. They stepped in. They were like, absolutely, and they helped fund one of our trips. And we're super grateful for that. Anyway, she got clear, and we are now clear a little over 18 months, hoping to get to that 24-month mark. That's a big marker. And we're still traveling to New York, not so frequently now, every 3 months for scans. We just finished scans last month, and they were clear, and we were jumping for joy again, like we do every time. But I just want to say thank you to the donors. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to his team. Thank you to the board, everybody for stepping up and helping out our family and other families who are walking the same journey as us. It's a hard road, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I honestly wouldn't. It's horrific.
I'm floored by your experience, by what you've gone through. All I can do is, if I was wearing a hat, I would say my hat's off to you, and I just wish you and your family and your daughter nothing but the best. Can I ask you a question about the experience of working with or being taken care of to an extent by Blankets for Cancer?
Yeah.
How was that experience? Are you willing to share some of the things that they aided you with, what they helped you with to help make
Sure.
you have
Yeah.
the ability to focus on your daughter's needs?
Yeah, it was very easy to work with them. It was basically, filling out an application. They got in touch with who they needed to work on their end of it, and then a check came. And that check is what funded one of our New York trips. It helped fund the airplane ticket and the taxi and the food that we ate while we were there.
Mhm.
So it was, a well-received gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And something we were truly grateful for, because like I said, traveling 8 days every month it's not just the physical part of going, it's the emotional part of going, of leaving your life behind here. I live in the Chicago area. We live in the Chicago area. So leaving our life behind, our family behind, our home behind, transporting somewhere different that's not home, and getting through that, not having the stress of how am I going to pay for it this month, because it's not just this month, it's next month and the next month and the next month. So having be waived, so to speak, is it's a huge stress relief for a parent, for a caregiver, for somebody walking this road. We have so many other things that we're juggling.
Mhm.
To have one less thing on our plate is a gift.
Truly, truly a miracle. Outstanding. I also want to point out during this that we're having folks leave comments. Some of them, it looks like they might be attributed to you as well as the organization as a whole. I also want to encourage folks that were touched by Lisa's story today to make sure that you visit blanketsforcancer.org and leave a donation. And I want to encourage folks, if you're kind and you do leave a donation, please leave a shout out on the chat window so we can recognize you. It's very, very important. And we're not looking to point out heroes or anything along those lines. We're looking as a way to honestly say thank you for folks taking the time to contribute. Because again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, every penny does count, and we're all taking a stand right now. Lisa, is there anything else you want to share with everybody who's on this broadcast today? Give Adam a virtual hug, anything along those lines?
I do. I will say that as horrible as the experience that we've gone through and are continuing to journey through has been, the silver lining is the people that we've met along the way, people like Adam, people like his organization,
Mhm.
who've brought joy into our life and lessened the burden, the pain. So I just want to say that there is a silver lining. It's hard to see when you're in it,
Mhm.
but there is one there. And I don't want to say that I'm grateful for cancer to bring me that, but I am grateful for those people and those experiences, strangers and people that I know both.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, they do say that it takes adversity to know and learn where your community is and how they will rally together to help. And the fact that Blankets for Cancer is there, is available. They don't want to hear from people, right? They want the
No,
problem of not having to do what they do, but to have it as a resource, the amazing things, and then to hear your story and your families. All I can say is bless your heart. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Yeah.
Things
I'd just like to jump in and say something, Lisa, thank you for being here and sharing. I know it's, as a parent that's been through this, I know it brings up a lot when, you're talking about the journey. It's not easy to talk about, but in the same regards, it's also, it validates the journey when each time you speak about it. And I also want to, kind of share that, like, watching Lisa take care of Kate, Lisa and Kate's father take care of Kate through this process. I had the opportunity, or just to kind of stand back a little bit and see, but I saw how much, and it reminded me of how much single-minded focus it takes. It's like a mountain that you can't even believe is in front of you, and nothing else. You can't really focus on anything else, and you just your life only has one purpose. It's like I think Lisa, you even say it all the time. Kate lives. Like
Yes.
that's the
Kate will live. That's my motto.
yeah, and that's
Nothing
the
else
focus.
matters.
It's like you really can't focus on too much else. Like get up, brush your teeth, maybe shower, eat some food, and
Not always.
let's do what we can do to help save this child's life. And that's why there's such a great need for organizations and funding to support this challenge.
Absolutely, you're correct.
Amazing. Outstanding. So, Adam, I get to ask the same question as I asked before about Lisa. Do we have our second guest waiting in the background?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. Debbie Miller is here.
Outstanding. Lisa, we hope that you'll stay with us, at least on the event here, and be entertained. But again, once again, thank you so much for your participation today. Your story is moving and emotional. And once again, the strength of you and your family shines through your words. And very, very much appreciative of you taking the time today.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
You bet.
Okay, so in order to bring a little bit of levity to the event today, kind of pull us back from an emotional brink, we have a musical guest that's going to join us today in just a second to provide some much needed entertainment. I am thrilled to finally meet Debbie Miller. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I hear you great. Thank you so much. Debbie, I admit, Adam doesn't know this is happening. I'm officially a stalker and a fan. You are wonderful. I've listened to your music now. I'm absolutely fascinated. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your music and where it comes from and how long you've been in the industry before you launch into song and entertain us today?
Sure. I guess I've been performing and writing my own songs since maybe 2008. And I started out in New York, where I'm from originally. And I moved out here to Seattle 10 years ago. And I've been playing music out here ever since.
Wonderful. What moved you to be part of today's event with Adam?
Well, Adam and I know each other professionally. I'm a naturopathic physician as well. And he asked me to be a part of the event, and I jumped at the chance because I think just such an amazing organization, and Adam is such an amazing and warm and helpful person that how could I say no?
I love that. I love that. I've also never known a musician realistically to say no to an opportunity to be seen and heard. So I absolutely love that. So I'm excited to simply be quiet and allow you to take the mic and give us your first musical number.
Sounds good. I know you promised levity, and I'll do that in the second song. This one's a little sweeter.
Okay. So we're going to jump off the screen for now. And thank you so much, Debbie, for being here.
Thanks for having me. An hour ago, how I've aged, and I am more sleepy than this morning. How tired I've grown, but I don't want to wait much longer. Time is sliding through my fingertips. I can't grab hold, and time than before. So we deserve not to wait much longer for love.
Debbie, I wish I had a pre-planned, clapping and screaming in the background that I could play for you there. Can you give us a little bit of background as to that song that you just played for us today? What's its name? What's the?
It's called Much Longer.
Mhm.
And I guess it's really just saying, like, we all deserve love.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love not just because you said we all deserve love. I absolutely love that. I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the folks here that are also leaving comments in the chat window. A friend of mine, Rebecca Reese Granberg, has left a note or two. There's other folks that are chiming in. And remember, if you want to help make this drive a success today, please go to blanketsforcancer.org, click that donation button, and any amount of money that folks can part with today will go toward an incredible cause to help families in need. Debbie, you have another piece for us.
I do. Yeah. And I just wanted to share that on a personal note, another reason that this being a part of this is meaningful to me is that my sister is a survivor of pediatric cancer. And I remember what that experience was like for my parents, and how it just upends your whole life, and your whole life changes really in an instant. So the type of work that Blankets for Cancer is doing is just so important to so many families. And it's a real joy for me to be a part of this event.
Wonderful. I agree 100%. I'm very much looking forward to your next song. Go ahead and start when you're ready.
Yeah. So this one is it's a quarantine song, but on a lighter note. The days are long, the hours quiet. I need someone to spend some time with me in my living space. I need to see an unmasked face. So I put out the SOS on the railing of my deck. I'll just wait here for you now as I expectantly look out for you to come visit me, for you to spend some time with me. Don't be caught, you know I'm here. I can tell that you are near. I'll just wait here for you now. I expectantly look out. And I hope you'll hang out with me, spend time on my balcony. And I keep hoping you'll like me. I hope I bought the right bird seed for you to come and eat, for you to come and eat, for you spend time with me, 'cause I think I'm going crazy. That's that song.
Oh my gosh, I was muted for obvious reasons, but I was laughing. I was shooting along with that. I absolutely love this. We need to all unite and also make this the universal quarantine song for people who are just going a little bit batty at this point.
Yes.
Maybe that more. I was trying to keep a straight face.
Yeah, I love the birdseed line.
Thanks. I did. It was the most interesting thing that I've done so far in quarantine is buy bird feeders. So.
Oh yeah.
I have hummingbirds, and I have one of them that my children have named Chonk, because we feed it so much it actually flies like heavily to and from. It doesn't zip around anymore. So I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Debbie. Adam, do you have questions for her or anything else? Because I just want to listen to her all day. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just tell us more about where to find your music, and
Oh, sure.
and also just any like parting words that you could share with us about, as a family, like how you guys pulled things together, when your sister was going through her treatment.
Yeah. So the answer to the first question is you can find my music at debbymiller.com. And thinking back to that time, I just remember, part of it is kind of a blur, but I do remember really coming around and rallying to support my sister and going to the hospital with her when she was having chemo and supporting her when she was sick from the chemo. And, it just really changes the family dynamic, but I think, in one that everyone becomes really supportive of each other. And we also we were lucky enough to go on a Make-A-Wish to Disney World. So that was pretty special for our family too, to kind of get that fun and that break and that relief. And my sister's doing really well. So
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. That was really special. You brought a lot of joy and spirit to this event. And I know that, your music really touched me. So I'm sure it touched a lot of people. Like, it's very heartfelt.
Thanks. It's a joy for me to do this.
Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we are going to just do a couple quick shout outs here. Looks like Rebecca has placed a donation. Thank you so much, Rebecca. You have a story of your own as well. So I'm going to reach out to you at some point very soon, and we're going to have a conversation. And I know Linda, who actually isn't able to be on this event today, she's made a donation also. But I encourage you, like I left a note there, if anybody does leave a donation, and we'd love to recognize you and give you a shout out.
Yeah, I just want to say that since September 1st, we've raised over $4,000 already for our campaign. We get like $5,000 worth of requests a month, and we're barely scratching the surface of who we've actually connect with. I mean, there's probably 5 or 6 different pediatric cancer centers that are routinely calling upon us right now in the whole country. And we're getting upwards of $5,000 worth of requests each month to support these families. And so, the need is great, and we'd like to expand to more and more states and more centers. But the $4,000 we've raised so far, we're really happy about. And we hope that, what we accomplished during Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month will help us expand and care for more families.
Exactly. And as I mentioned to Adam throughout this event, as we were planning, I need to make sure that I'm constantly doing my job and pointing out just the reality of what he just touched upon. I mean, nearly 15% of pediatric cancer patients, their families will reach a poverty level very, very quickly. It's scary how quickly that happens, and they need assistance, and there's not always programs available to help them. And that's what Blankets for Cancer does. This is often a direct result of one of the parents having to literally stop working, leave his or her job in order to provide the support that child needs during the treatments. It provides a tremendous level of stress on a family that's already in the fight for their lives. So it's really, really important. And because you're so heavily focused on helping alleviate the stress with the socioeconomic loss in the situation, you're helping these families meet their core needs. And again, this includes things like rent, utilities, food, clothing, and car expenses, the stuff that we all take for granted and we don't think that can very quickly fall by the wayside. So once again, if you're considering a donation today, please visit blanketsforcancer.org and click that donation button. any amount you can give today helps the organization improve the outcomes and lessening the effects of the socioeconomic stressors that these families endure. So please feel free to donate. Adam, I'm hoping that we can take the time now to answer any questions that people might have. Have you had any questions recently come through to your organization that kind of hit the top 10 list? And then, of course, anybody who's involved in this broadcast, if you have a question about what they do, how they do it, please feel free to leave a question that we can address now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the questions generally pertain to where the funding is going, and I think we've talked a lot about that. And I will say that the thing is that what people don't realize is, and I think is really critical, because the mindset of what it's like to find out your child has pediatric cancer, it doesn't generally happen, kind of something you can warm up to, like, you're given like a performance review and, you have 3 months to get your act together. It's literally one day you wake up and the next day your life has been turned upside down.
Literally, yeah.
And so, you could have already been under financial pressure or financial stress, and then this is just tripling, quadrupling down on that pressure. So to understand and be empathetic about how fast we need to respond for these families is just to realize that, usually a month or two before the diagnosis, they're starting to see somewhat changes in their child's health. But everybody's immediate response is to think, that, oh, it's something that's just going to go away. It's just a mild illness. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, you're being told that you have this potentially life-threatening terminal kind of illness. And so it just is something that having, if you're in a situation where you don't have the ability to respond in that, it can be devastating. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just things that people don't realize, is that, for us, like, we thought our son had, like an allergy to a food. That was what was the biggest thing that we thought he had going on, because of his symptoms. And then one day we realized it might be more than this, and we took him to the emergency room, and 12 hours later we were told he has neuroblastoma. And it's like, tomorrow I'm supposed to go to work. I have 12 meetings scheduled. My wife has 10 meetings scheduled. And it's like, figure it out, because the next 2 years, 3 years, you're going to be in the battle of your life. And so, yeah, we're trying to, be there and be a net for people. So the funding goes to all needs that are not made. And Family Medical Leave Act is very nice, because it technically preserves your job, but it doesn't preserve your salary. Yeah. And also, if you're a small business owner, like we both were, it doesn't, you basically just have to make it happen, make it work. You don't have family medical leave when you're a small business owner. So anyways, those are kind of the questions. And then, we do, we vote as a board on trying to meet all these needs, and sometimes we can and sometimes we can't.
Thank you, Adam, for sharing that. I just got a text because I have a friend in the Pacific Northwest locally who wasn't able to get on the call today. They're curious, how many families on average are you helping each month? And currently, due to the pandemic and all of that, can you give an idea of some of the primary support that you're giving some of these families? Since, right now it's a whole different landscape, right?
Right. So, I mean, on a monthly basis, we help about 5 to 10 families, and we're giving them, we're supporting them through the funds that we raise. We're providing grants and gifts, primarily, through our communication with them and their social workers. We have a relationship with their social worker as well, to kind of understand the situation, and just as a means of, really being able to prioritize who needs the most help. And so we'll talk with their social worker and verify that this family needs, sort of money for food or clothing, or to pay for a car repair. And then we'll distribute that. And then, also, things come up like rent or mortgage payments, and, we try to step it up for those particular needs as well. In the pandemic time, it's just even heightened even more, just because, there's even more loss of work, and, you can't really work remotely from a hospital per se. It's just not, it's not feasible, and these families are, needing their child's cancer process hasn't stopped just because of a pandemic.
Yeah, I was going to say cancer doesn't rest during a pandemic. It doesn't play that game.
So we're trying. Our gifts and grants are anywhere from $100 to $1,000 for various needs. And then sometimes, if we're able to, even more.
Mm-hmm. Truly remarkable. Adam, on your website, it says, donate a blanket. Your organization is called Blankets for Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get down to the real truths here, sir. Do you really do blankets? Do you really hand out blankets? Is there a support structure that you've developed behind that? Because I've had people ask me that this morning, because I had meetings and stuff like a normal business person, and they were saying, "What's with the blankets?" Can you go into that?
Okay, so there's a company that's called Satsuma, and they make, at the time Jordan was going through treatment, they made this just amazingly soft cotton twin ply blanket, and it was warm when it needed to be warm and cool when it needed to be cool. And if anybody's had a child with special needs, they'll know that the texture of a blanket is a make or break deal. Like, if it touches the skin and it doesn't feel right, then that blanket's not getting any love. And with Jordan, he fell in love with this blanket. And Jennifer, who the owner of Satsuma, connected with our family early on in the process and brought this blanket to, we ordered a blanket. We told her that Jordan loved it, and almost every 3 to 6 months she would upgrade it, because you can imagine all those blankets go through, with surgeries, chemo, and various hospital stays. And so Jordan grew through this process with this blanket by his side. In fact, I have many, many pictures of him with it draped around his head, and kind of like wearing it as a shawl and cuddling it. So when we founded this organization, one of the things that we do is we send out blankets that are designed. First, Jennifer helped us design a custom blanket using her model for Blankets for Cancer, to have a similar model to distribute for free for kids that are going through treatment. And then she eventually decided that she would just kind of like hand things off to us, and told us how to make them ourselves. So we coordinate with a manufacturer and a distributor and a seamstress right now, and we give custom blankets with the same quality, same feel, and we send those out to families on special request. They're very part of our proceeds goes to making these blankets, and they're not something we sell. It's just given. It's a gift. And sometimes when I'll meet a family at Seattle Children's or somewhere else, I'll bring them a blanket for their child. And sometimes the parents want the blanket too, because it's very comforting.
Yeah. I love that story. I love the fact that there's a history behind it, and I know what you mean by the tactile experience. If it's wrong, it's immediately not right, and it can be dismissed. But the other side of it is what you're expressing. If it's right, it becomes a security blanket. I mean, hello, Linus, anybody? Right from the days of the Peanuts comic strip. It's an incredibly important thing, and it can go so far in that child's journey as well. I absolutely.
And I think, the symbolic nature of blanket. So
Mhm.
like that's what the organization has grown to be, is basically like we're trying to give a hug and give some love, kind of like a blanket symbolizes is something that supports the family, kind of like in a loving way.
Mhm.
The other thing is that blanketing cancer is kind of our vision. Like, we support all these efforts to find good research. We want to ultimately blanket out cancer, so that one day, the treatment success is in the 100% rate, right? So that would be when eventually when cancer is no longer a threat. And so blanket out cancer is what we hold in mind when we wake up and do this work.
Yeah. Well, I would love nothing else than to put you out of business, Adam.
Me
Really,
too.
really would. I mean, again, you know this about me. She was a child, but I lost my mother to cancer. So many of us, if we think about it, we know somebody or we've lost somebody due to this disease, and it's horrible. And it doesn't know an age limit. As we talked about, it doesn't stop during the pandemic.
Mhm.
It shows absolutely no mercy. So what you're doing is absolutely incredible, and I absolutely love hearing the stories, especially the history behind the blanket. That your answer and story will please a lot of people.
Yeah.
My network, because they really wanted to know. Um, so we have a bunch of people on this event right now watching us live. I once again want to mention, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to mention it in the chat window. Type in your questions. We've got about 5 minutes left. We can address any questions that you have. And once again, we're repeating the blanketsforcancer.org link. If you feel that you can part with even a small amount of money today, please feel free to follow that link. And if you do so, doesn't matter what the dollar amount is. We appreciate every single donation. We're not asking for dollar call outs, but if you do leave a note that you donated, we'd love to give you a thank you on this broadcast today.
Yeah, I just want to say that you might know this group, but Synergy Creative just supported us with a nice donation. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Synergy Creative. That's fantastic. And I mentioned before, Rebecca has left a donation. Linda has as well. I know there's a few others out there. And once again, after this broadcast ends today, you can look at this anytime after the fact, watch this presentation in length, or once again, simply go to blanketsforcancer.org and make a donation at any time. That door doesn't close, right, Adam?
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, it's this is our official month because of the Pediatric Cancer Awareness
Yeah.
Month, and sort of what we establish our whole year's budget predominantly on what we do during this month. But we're obviously accepting donations year round. We did also on our website allow through PayPal now, where you can actually make monthly installments. So like if we know that times are difficult now, and if it's easier for people to break their payment over like a monthly basis, we have that option now.
Well, and if you think about it, if people were to sacrifice 2 coffees per month that they take from a local place that maybe starts with a letter S and ends with Tarbucks, not to mention any names, but for example, that could be a good $100 some odd that you could get toward your organization of saving those 2 drinks from being drunk. Because I mean, really, it's amazing what you're doing with the funding, and it just warms my heart to know that you're providing and you're alleviating such stress from these families. It's quite brilliant. So Adam, as we wrap up this presentation today, Is there anything else that you want to mention about what you've witnessed here this afternoon? You've already mentioned about what families or people can do after the fact or during this broadcast, going to the website or the organization as a whole. Is there anything that you want to leave us with before I give you our parting words here today?
I just want to thank people for taking the time out in the middle of the week, during the middle of the day to spend time with us. It's really heartwarming. We work really hard at what we do. All of us have full-time jobs and families that we're, and then we do this in whatever time we can squeeze out of the day or night or weekend. And so you being here with us really is inspiring for us to continue our good work. So I want to thank people for being here, and I really hope that we've shared that there is a huge need for what we're doing, and I hope that you can find some way to give. I think giving financially is one way to give. Also, giving of your kind of volunteering your time is another way to give. There's all kinds of ways to give. What financial does in this situation is it helps these families move forward just with a little bit more comfort. And stress is such a as I think everybody can see now with the COVID situation, how much the stress and anxiety of a health condition or the threat of a health condition can really wear you down. Mm-hmm. And these families need that energy. They need to put it into their loved ones and their child. And so whatever you give will help physically and emotionally.
Outstanding. Before I forget, one more huge shout out to our keynote guest speaker, Lisa Drost, sharing her family story, unfortunately with cancer, but the benefits of being on the receiving end of Blankets for Cancer and the amazing things that you folks do. And of course, Debbie Miller. Follow her, facebook.com/the Debbie Miller. Check her out, become a fan of her page and her music and her energy. Once again, thank you, Debbie. And again, Adam, this has just been an incredible experience today. I want to offer a huge and heartfelt thank you to you for allowing me to help MC this event. And hopefully there was a level of success from any donations that we received today. Incredibly thankful for that. I said before, it sounds silly to say that every penny counts, but it really does. Thank you, and thank you for helping kids, helping families, and helping the honor and legacy left behind by your son, Jordan Avi Rindy. Thank you very much. I will leave the floor to you now for any last minute parting words, but thank you everybody who is on this event today and helped make it possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Brian. This was really, really great. Okay, everybody, I'm going to keep with our time, and thank you very much for being here. This means a lot to us, like I said. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at info@blanketsforcancer.org. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about our organization, any donations you made. We are tax deductible. We are a 501c3 organization, so all your donations are tax deductible. And anything, if you're interested in being a part of our organization in any other way, please let me know. Thanks so much, and we'll hopefully be in touch soon.